Welcome to New Botany. A couple of weeks ago I posted a video in which I suggested that certain types of moss invade ground areas, and I've come to an area today and several areas to try and convince you that they do. They don't necessarily invade quickly, but they do spread over an area and become quite dominant in that area. Other plants can benefit from them being there, but it's mainly the moss that's doing the growing in these areas. And I want to show you some of these mossy areas now where I feel that they've actually invaded. And usually you tend to see invasive mosses where it's fairly damp and shady. They prefer those areas to grow in, and this is an area underneath trees where water drips, and you can see the moss is growing here. Some of them look brown, some of them are light green, and there are different types of moss growing here. One type of moss that grows here is Syntrichia, and this I think is Syntrichia ruralis, and there's quite a lot of that here, though that's not necessarily a typical tarmac grower, and we are on tarmac here. So we've got other species of moss that are a bit smaller and are probably Didymodons. And almost invariably where you see these mosses growing, they've actually detached themselves from the surfaces that they're growing on, and I think that's largely due to being tough pulled at by birds, and the birds are interested because there's always bugs hiding in mosses, so birds come and take the whatever bugs there are growing in the moss and use it for food. Obviously, in removing the moss from its growing area, it's actually helping the moss to distribute itself. And you can see quite a large area covered with this olive green moss that's growing here, and my guess is that this is a mixture of two different Didymodons, Didymodon insulanus and Didymodon nicholsonii. They're the common ones that grow on tarmac, along with the Syntrichias that I've already mentioned. This one is very typical of Didymodon insulanus. The leaves are very long and narrow, and they're turning brownish, which is fairly typical of this species also. So that's Didymodon insulanus. And yet another one which looks like Didymodon insulanus to me. This is the only one of the Didymodons that I'm sure about that I've seen so far here. And you can see here a very large area of tarmac covered by Didymodons, most likely Didymodon insulanus. I would expect to find Didymodon nicholsonii here as well. I'll keep looking until I find some of that, I think. But you can just see how large this area is. And all these mosses have a brownish look to them. Yeah, Didymodon insulanus again. Long and raggedy looking leaves. Yeah, that might be nicholsonii. These Didymodons tend to grow in mixed colonies. It would be nice to classify them as individual species that are growing here, but it's not going to be that easy really. These plants do tend to form colonies of different kinds. And there's a superb specimen here of Syntrichia ruralis, variety ruraliformis, and you can tell it's apart from caninervis or ruralis because the leaves are very long and tapered. It's a large plant, and the hair points are very long as well. Another brownish plant as I've decided to have a close look at. And once again, this is clearly Didymodon insulanus. It seems to be by far the most dominant plant growing here at this particular site. And yet another insulanus. You can tell by the sort of spiral twisting form of the leaves, and the tufts of the moss are very open. They're not tightly compact that you'd expect in other Didymodons. But this final shot just gives you a view of just how much these mosses have invaded this area. And as I say, I think they're all Didymodon insulanus. They all match that description of Didymodon insulanus found in the books. Didymodon nicholsonii has much tighter packed cushions, I think. But while I would expect it to grow here, I haven't been able to find any today. So that is invasive mosses, aggressive mosses. They're not aggressive, but they do grow in certain areas in great abundance where they provide food for wildlife and birds. So please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.